Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I want to respond to a remark from one of my viewers who was kind of poking fun at me for having to live with roommates and all that. I gotta point out something. There has been a lot of colorful experiences when I live with others, and I wish it were not frowned upon, because if it weren't frowned upon, you could probably live with better characters than some of the people that I lived with. I'll get to an example of that in this story. But you may recall a couple weeks ago I was trying to shoot a Peter Dislike Show podcast. It was 3:30 in the morning, all my roommates were wide awake. I actually heard noises from the kitchen, and that's why I thought, okay, I can start recording now. I had been up all night making bismuth crystals, which doesn't really bother anybody. And so I got on the air and I said, "The Peter Dislike Show!" And one of my roommates really took offense. He was eating in the kitchen, and he thought that he needed to get up to knock on my door loudly and shout obscenities. And I actually would have let it go, but my other roommate complained that the guy who knocked on my door loudly got kicked out. And I left after that week because it was embarrassing, to say the least. But you know what? That was a good experience. You know, I wish I had more interactions like that, because I like how I stood my ground and ignored him. And you saw the video. I responded with him. I thought you had to go to work. Why don't you just head off so you're not late or something like that? And it kind of disempowered him when I said that. It was really nice. See, I would have missed out on that had I lived alone, right? Sometimes I have to find interesting ways to get what I need to get to, whether it be the bismuth crystals or some space. So for example, this week I'll have to check out my Airbnb because it's really busy during the Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl is being played here in Phoenix. I really want to get out of the Phoenix area. And you know what? I told myself I'm going to head out. I don't have work on Saturday. And at first I was nervous about whether I can make it to the office in time on Monday. But you know what? If I run into unexpected traffic, it's unexpected for everybody. I think the clients and my management have to understand that. If they don't, then I have to explain that, you know, I left the Phoenix area because of anxiety issues, and I really didn't expect all this much traffic. I don't think I'll be late, but you know what? My mental health is a little bit more important than that. So, and plus, outside of the area, I'll probably be able to find somewhere to crash. So you can see how it forces me to connect more with people. Now, I've spent a lot of time traveling in other parts of the world where living with other families is not so frowned upon. And as a result, you get a better caliber of people to live with, right? So you guys may recall when I traveled to Warsaw, I was living in a hostel with, you got a lot of people who were there long term, and most of the places I lived with didn't allow couples. So you got a lot of people who were either auto-romantic like myself, or they were in the younger generation who were still looking for that somebody. And it's not so frowned upon over there. I also spent some time in Taiwan. Taiwan is a much more solo-sexual city than here in the Phoenix area. I would say at least 50% of the population in Taiwan is openly solo-sexual, and so a lot of people live in commune situations over there. And so you get a better caliber of roommate over there because it's not frowned upon, right? Here in the Phoenix area, living in an Airbnb is almost long term is almost commonly associated with being homeless, having drug problems, because we frown upon it so much that the better caliber people have to find other ways around the same issue, right? Anyway, thought I would point that out, right? If this were in Taiwan, I probably wouldn't have had a problem screaming the Peter Shit Show the other night, although that was kind of interesting. I really liked how I stood my ground and let the guy blow his head off. I really liked it, and I wish I could do that more. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum bum. like? Bum, 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 bum.